These three interrelated professions are concerned with how people presently and in the future will live, work, and transport themselves in healthy, safe, comfortable, equitable, and sustainable conditions. The planet is growing in population and pollution. Resources are finite, and a new vision for cities and the countryside are slowly emerging. But there is much to be done. Our cities are overrun with cars and parking, and many smaller towns have been decimated by suburban sprawl, which is inherently the most unsustainable, polluting, and energy-consumptive land use pattern. It is not apparent to most people that we will not be able to sustain our current level of energy consumption required because of our sprawled, auto-dependent land use pattern and our increased reliance on electricity. In the next 3 to 5 years, there will be a rude awakening to this reality. This will be compounded by global warming, fluctuating financial recessions, and high unemployment. During the next 10 years, there must be the production of plans and public policies that will address these dire circumstances and prepare alternatives. A new, sustainable urbanism must emerge, and for that, we need an army of trained and committed professionals. We need to find new ways to revitalize our cities and become more dependent locally for our food and energy. Our wasteful, underutilized land uses must be redesigned to accommodate a more sustainable future. There are countries and cities that have planned for and implemented policies and plans for a sustainable future. There is much to be learned from them. North America must become more like them to survive with dignity after the oil and natural gas production worldwide has peaked, which is estimated in the near future. It might be best, in some cases, to look at other cities to find out what they have done and what lessons we could learn from these cities that may be applied to American cities. This one will be Oslo, Norway. It has a population of about 1.4 million, and it has a high level of urban sustainability. Pedestrian priority, multimodal, integrated green, human-scaled, and an extraordinary capability of feeling as if it is humanized in every respect and a place that one wants to spend time. This is a video that was shot in 2008, in the summer of 2008. This is a weekday. And the first thing that clearly one notices is that the downtown is well served by multimodal transit. In this particular case, you're seeing the streetcars, the Blue Line streetcars, and you're seeing the articulated buses, the BRT, stopping essentially at the same point. Notice that the buses in the back are color-coded and have their own specific location and line. This particular area is a extraordinary, I think, area filled with green infill buildings. This is the old harbor area of Oslo, and this is a street place that has been designed primarily as a pedestrian street, leaving some of the water channels still intact, but redeveloping the area primarily as mixed-use residential with some offices. This precinct primarily focused on creating more pedestrian space, and the frame of the spaces are these modern, new sustainable green buildings characterized by large amounts of glass facing south, masonry, and you can see green balconies and green roofs happening on many of these buildings. One of the unique features are the unique set of balconies. It seems like every apartment has some kind of balcony involved with it, but the materiality of it is glass. The ground level is mixed use, has a range of uses at the ground level, including restaurants and shops. And you can see the kind of the characterization of the architecture, kind of using a design vocabulary of this masonry and glass to create a rather interesting new urban place that's in scale with the rest of Oslo city. Oslo also has many extraordinary parks, and these are more of the classic design, but they're in the center of the city and integrated into the whole pedestrian experience of the city. One of the really wonderful features of this plan are the water elements, the ponds and pools, which have been designed as part of the park. And as you can see, it is low with steps on the edges, that children can come up to it, put their feet in it, and it has an extensive landscape design with many places for people to sit and to watch other people, as well as restaurants. But it was interesting to find the number of places, the edges and ledges that people would actually sit on and use, including movable chairs and tables in many of the cafes which line the edge of the park itself. Here you see another little additional multi-mode, and that is a kind of a little trolley, an open trolley car, and places for taxis to actually interact with the downtown. But cars are only allowed in very limited number on limited set of streets, and that, I think, really enhances the entire pedestrian experience as we have come to know it. But you'll see that there are literally miles, I don't know exactly how many, of PPS or pedestrian priority streets, and those include elements of cafes on the edge, which provides great people watching and also adds to the general ambiance of the actual street itself. Here's a secondary street. Although people, you can see, are walking primarily on the wide sidewalk, they're still freely crossing the street that is there. And this is the primary pedestrian street. There is one primary and several secondary pedestrian streets in this kind of network of pedestrian priority streets. And you notice that even the density on this street of people walking is very comfortable, and it's almost the perfect size for the number of people flowing on that street. The light rail, the streetcar, moving perpendicular to the major pedestrian street. Along this experience, there are many open markets. This is an open flower market, and there are many of these open markets in the downtown area. Again, with the background of the buses, a bus street in the back, and even places watching the little lady going to the toilets, which are in the downtown area as well, providing all of those necessary and needed facilities. Here's a secondary street, another secondary street, again with more outdoor eating and drinking, and this one raised slightly above grade so you can actually look down onto the street itself. Very comfortable place. Paving, as you can see, is cobblestones, and there is a whole series of arrangements of open spaces. Here's another street with the bus rapid transit that just moved through the actual street itself. Again, really well coordinated for the pedestrians flowing on this street. It's clear that this combination of mobility and urban form, both the buildings, the landscaping, and the streets dedicated to the pedestrian, are really what makes the character of Oslo so wonderful and so compelling. It is very difficult when you think about what is happening on our most American streets that are still packed with cars, where the rest of the world has gone more pedestrian. The big question is, will we have the vision to restrict cars? We have many places where this could and should happen in the United States, in our city centers, and it seems that whereas the rest of the world is going more pedestrian, the North American cities need to follow.